I know it's always a bad time to bring this up, but every time my phone rings, it's a fucking jam, isn't it? Anyway, I don't recognize the 080 number, so let's see who it is, shall we? The phone I pressed against Kaguri's head stopped ringing. And in that moment, the world changed. It changed, and not for the better. Oh shit, have I broken time and space? I was inside a deep black darkness. There was no sound. No temperature. Just darkness, cold, and silence. No one was here. I didn't even know if I was asleep or awake. There was nothing but a vague sense of presence. Nothingness. Nothingness spreading out to infinity. And now I'm awake, okay. What timeline are we on? Huh? What was I doing? Wasn't I...
ちょっと岡部、いつまでもそんなところで寝てると風邪ひくわよ。
I should be thrilled. Should be thrilled. All I know is that this is just a bad omen. Hey, Okabe, if you keep lying there, you're gonna catch a cold. Huh? I turned towards the voice. Standing there next to the open curtains of the development room was...
何よ?
What?
なんだ?
Oh,
Kurisu.
there you are, Kurisu. Promised Rinascimento.
いたのかとはず
What do
い
you
ぶ
mean
んご
there
挨
you
拶だ
are?
な。
I've been here the
さ
whole
っきから
time.
ずっとここにいたじゃない。
Like how everyone got an updated sprite and then it was just like, ah, Kurisu's perfect as she is. We can make do.
そうだったか?
Have you?
そうよ。
Yep.
昨日も一昨日
Yesterday
も
and the day before.
ずっとここにいたわよ。
I've been here for a long time.
It did seem that way, come to think of it. My head seemed like it was just full of fuzz. But I wasn't sleepy or tired or anything like that. My mind was very awake. But something was missing. Something important. You know what? I was about to be an asshole and then I was like, do I make that joke? Is it even a joke at this point? Ah, fuck it. I'll say it anyway. Something important's missing. Yeah! It's called Mayuri!
そういえば
Hey,
誰
why
や
would Daru Mayuri?
あんた、
Are you
本
really
当に
okay?
大丈夫？
Did something happen to you?
何か不具合でもあったんじゃない？
どういう意味だ?
What do you mean?
橋田も真由も
Hashiro and Mayuri are right
そこ
there.
にいるじゃない。
Look.
Huh?
おかりん、てってれ
I didn't load up the right game, right? I'm fucking lost. I'm not gonna lie. How could you miss somebody as big as me, Okarin? We even dug out the old sprites. Holy shit. Oh, that's right. Daru and Mayuri were always here, weren't they? No, it wasn't just them.
気がないにゃ。
Gilbert, you doing okay, Nyan? I'll use my kitty charms to make you feel better, Nyan.
京馬さん、
Kilma,
僕にでき
if
る
there's
ことが
anything
あ
I
っ
can
た
do to
ら
help you make you feel better,
何でも言っ
just
てく
tell
ださい
me.
ね。
My god, you're all too precious. And you all look like I remember you. Faris and Lukako, too. Wait, is she here? You know. She who must not be named.
岡部倫太郎のために
I'll make you special juice from the edible grasses I found in this area, Okabe Rintaro.
作ってあげるよ。
私もいるよ、
Here too.
岡部君。
Okabe.
Sazura and Moeka. All the lab members were in the lab, just like they always were. That's right. This was my daily life. This was how I spent every day.
ふむ全員いるようだな
It appears everyone has arrived. They actually fleshed out this fucking image. I love it! Because I know in the previous game we only had the 4 of us ever in this image, but now it just... Oh. It's perfect. I love everything about it.
では
Therefore, we shall begin the 65,536th round table. Are you ready?
まったくいつもいつも暑苦しいわね。
お前こそ
And you need to wipe that self-satisfied expression right off your face, assistant.
だから私
telling
はあんた
you,
の女子
I'm
に
not your
覚えはないと言ったろうが。
オカリンとクリスチ
Ocarina
ャン
and
は
Curse were
い
always
つも
such good
仲良しだ
friends.
ね。
イチャイチャしやがって
You're the perfect
Yeah,
couple.
but
Now go explode.
ちょっと橋田
Wait, Hashida,
私
I'm
が
not
い
in,
つ
not in a
こいつと
relationship
イチ
with
ャイチャ
this
したって言
guy.
うのよ。
仲がいいほど
They say the closer you are, the more you fight, yeah.
羨ましい。
I'm jealous.
漆原ルカも一緒
You
に
should join in the fun, Ushibara.
ダメです
I couldn't.
僕にはそんなこと
I
できま
just
せん
couldn't.
イチャイチャ
Fun.
ねえお前たち
Stop wasting time, guys. We're starting the meeting.
さっさと会議を始めるぞ
ね。今日の議題
So
は
what are
何
we
なんだ。
talking about today?
そんなものは決まっている
What else? Our topic for today is... What?
議題は
Our topic?
岡部
Okabe?
Something was wrong.
オカリン
Ocarina?
Everything seemed the same, but...
どうしたんオカリン
What's wrong, Ocarin? That's right. It was cold.
京馬
Yoma?
I didn't feel it.
京馬さん
Kyoma. No emotion.
岡部倫太郎
Okabe Rentaro?
No warmth.
岡部
Okabe?
She never had warmth, but... Everyone was here. But it was cold and dark. Cold. Cold.
岡部くん
Cold, 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 cold.
岡部倫太郎
It was so cold it felt like the marrow of my bones was going to freeze.
京馬さん
Like my bones were made of ice. Like all the blood in my body had been replaced with mercury.
オカリン
It was cold. It felt like I was going to freeze at any moment. What was this?
オカリン
Where was this place? Where was I?
岡部
I... Where? I'm gonna be right up with you. I think I've been here once before and it ain't good. Was I? What was I doing? I tried to speak, but the words didn't come out. It looked like I was lying on a bed. And a very hard one at that. I slowly looked around. It wasn't the lab, and it wasn't my room. The room was old and gloomy. And of course I'd never seen it before. What was I doing here? There was a terrible pain in my head, like someone had jammed an electrode into my brain. I tried to raise my hand as I lay there, but it was too heavy. It was like all the joints in my body had frozen. It took all my strength to slowly sit up. Each time I moved a little, my muscles screamed and pain ran through my whole body. After several minutes, I finally succeeded in sitting up on the edge of the bed and looking down. I was wearing a white gown, like a hospital patients wear. There was some kind of equipment on my head, and the cables coming out of it were connected to a strange machine. What had happened to me? Just a moment ago, I was... That's right. Kagari. Kurasu's memories had been downloaded into Kagari's head. We tried to erase them by overriding them with Kagari's own memories. And then... That's right. I remembered now. The world line had shifted right after that. What had happened then? I tried to remember, but it was like my mind was filled with fog. For now, I needed to figure out where I was. I took off the headgear and got out of bed. Probably promptly fell to the floor. Yep. This didn't make sense. Was I just dizzy after all that was going on in my head? I tried to stand up again. And I couldn't get any strength in my legs. I kept standing up and falling over, and in the end, I was only able to get up by grabbing the side of the bed. How could standing on my own 2 feet be so exhausting? Was I sick with some terrible disease? And then maybe I've been in bed for several days? The headgear thing makes me think that they're looking for traces of reading Steiner in him, or whatever they called the disease. I can't remember. They gave it a name and I've forgotten what it was, but it was basically reading Steiner. I somehow managed to drag my weak legs to the door. It was bizarrely heavy. Or maybe it just seemed that way to me. This is some fucking horror shit. I don't like where this is going. It only opened after I put my full weight on it. The door was locked, but it seemed to be the kind that could be opened from the inside. I walked down the dark hallway, leaning up against the wall for support. At the end of the hall were stairs. That ain't gonna end well. I clung to the railing and slowly walked up them. Oh, at least it's not down. Down was probably gonna be more of an issue if I'm honest. At the end of the stairs, I found a hatch. Using the full strength of my back, I was just barely able to get it open. I was inside an old building. I walked down the crumbling hallway, still clueless as to what was going on, and finally found the door to the outside. Exhausted, I staggered outside, and I saw... mountains of shattered rubble. What the heck? Rows of destroyed and abandoned buildings. Exposed, twisted steel girders. At first I thought it was a movie set, but it was all far too realistic for that. The walls, the windows, the ceilings. Everything was destroyed. Little bits of rubble covered the ground. There were cracks in the asphalt on the road, making it impossible to walk straight. And it wasn't just directly in front of me. I spun around a full 360 degrees and saw the same scene everywhere. I smelled oil. I smelled something burning. Is it bad that the moment he said that, I could as well for a very brief moment and got concerned? I looked up to the sky. It was dark and gloomy. I thought it might just be cloudy, but something else seemed to be going on. I could see the hazy outline of the sun beyond the black curtain that covered the sky. A violent pain in my throat made me cough. I quickly covered my mouth with the sleeve of my gown. My eyes stung. I tried once more to calm down to see if I could remember what happened, but I had no luck. All I knew for sure was that there had been a world line shift when I deleted Kurisu's memories from inside Kagari. The memories held by the Amadeus Kurisu. And the memories implanted in Kagari. Maybe when whoever owned them changed, that is, whoever held Kurisu's time machine theory, the world line changed with it. And this was another altered world line. Which meant what I was seeing was... I saw what looked like an ash-covered stick poking out from the ground in the corner of my eye. I slowly went to take a closer look. It was sticking out of the rubble, and the tip of it split into 5 smaller branches. It was a hand. Yeah, that's what I figured. It was a human hand that had been scorched pitch black. A terrible feeling came rising out of my stomach. Suddenly I thought I saw something move. Someone was there. Where? I listened carefully and tried to pick them out. The other side of the big building. I could hear some kind of sound from over there. Was someone there? If there was, maybe they could tell me what the hell was going on. Trying my best not to make any sound, I peeked through the walls of the crumbling building. They were all right. There were people there. Lots of them. But they weren't people anymore. They were just human-shaped wads of meat, piled up into a mountain. And on top of the mountain was a pack of dogs. Something long and slick was hanging out of the dogs' mouths. Intestines. They were eating them. They were eating the bodies. The stench was horrible. The sound of the flies was overwhelming. It was like something out of hell. My gaze met the vacant eyes of one of the bodies. One of its eyes fell out, and black insects crawled out of the empty socket. I ran. I ran as fast as I could, stumbling forward on failing legs. Somewhere. Was there somewhere around here that was sane? But no matter how far I went, it was the same thing. Mountains of rubble. Rows of abandoned buildings. All I could see were the dead. There were no living humans. And then I found it. There were rows of huge buildings, which all looked as if they were about to fall over. The roads were full of cracks. There was a warped overpass sticking out of the ground. A few rows of iron and railroad ties. I knew it. I knew this place. It was only a shadow of its former self, but I knew it. This was Akihabara, which meant... What happened to the lab? Where was Mayuri? Where was Daru? Where was Faris? Or what about Lukako or Suzuha? What happened to Maho and Kagari? Just as I ran toward the lab to find out, I heard footsteps behind me. Rough footsteps, stomping over the rubble. More than one set. They got louder and louder, and as soon as I saw them coming toward me from the... They They got louder and louder, and soon I saw them coming toward me from between the crumbling buildings. There were 3 of them. They each had assault rifles in their hands. You! What are you doing here? When they saw me, they all pointed their guns at me. There was so much I wanted to ask them. There were things I wanted to know. The only thought that came to me was that I needed to get away. But even as I tried to turn and run, my body refused to listen. Don't move! They must have sensed that I was about to flee because one of them yelled. Holes appeared in the concrete at my feet. There's no need for that. I'm gonna be real honest. They'd shot at me. They really shot at me. They'd shot at me with real guns. If I'd just been a little closer, they would have hit me. I was too scared to stand. The men got closer, still holding their guns. Run. You have to run. But it was like my body belonged to someone else. It wasn't listening to me. The men kept getting closer. And then there was another sharp noise. One of the men collapsed to the side. He hit his head on the rubble and stopped moving. Huh? The other 2 waved their guns around, clearly confused as to what just happened. You're in the way! Something dragged me to the ground. And then more gunshots. The 2 of them fell backwards, still holding their weapons, at almost the exact same time. They died. Right in front of me. Someone had died. I could do nothing more than sit there and watch as a silhouette moved in front of me. You trying to get killed? I looked up. And the person I saw was Suzuha.
Come on, how long are you just gonna sit there?
Did you kill them?
What kind of stupid question is that?
It was a colder voice than I'd ever heard. You're Suzuha, right? Her iron mask of an expression suddenly changed to surprise. But that was only for a moment. A second later and the fierceness had returned.
Who are you?
Did she really not? You don't know who I am? Did the change of the world line mean Suzuha and I had never met? It's me, Okabe. Okabe Rintaro. The expression on her face changed again.
Okabe Rintaro?
Okabe Rintaro? That's impossible. 2 pairs of icy footsteps sounded in the darkness. This way. After I'd given my name, Suzuha had stared at me suspiciously for a moment. Then she made some kind of call and told me to come with her. She made me wear a blindfold almost the entire time, though. So I had no idea which way I'd gone or where I was. Stop! I did as she said. When I heard the knock, I finally realized we were in front of a door. Moe moe for you?
Bakyun-kyun.
Come in. Evidently, that was the password. I can only think of one man who'd choose such a stupid password. I heard the sound of a heavily locked door opening, and at last saw a dimly lit room in the darkness. The room was piled high with what looked like mechanical junk. Rows of instruments lined the walls. A man was sitting in front of them, looking straight at me. I'm so glad. You're finally awake, Okarin. Who was this guy? How did he know my name? Must have been in his mid-40s. He was a big, broad-shouldered man with a stubbly face. There was a sharp but gentle light in his eyes. I felt like I'd seen him somewhere before. Who are you?
やだな。僕のこと忘れた
Oh,
の
jeez. Did you forget about me?
そりゃいくらなんでも
Even after all that's happened, that still hurts, Okarin. God, Daru didn't... I was gonna say Daru didn't age well. Might have something to do with the war. Never mind. The way he talked. And that voice. There was only one person it could be. But that was...
まさか
You... Daru?
か
The man's face broke into a broad smile.
よかった覚えててくれて
Good, you do remember.
てっきり忘れ
I
られた
thought
の
you'd
かと思った
forgotten.
のだぜ
Daru. Is it really you?
こんなナイスガイ僕以
Who else would you know that's as handsome as me? Right, Suzuha?
鈴葉
せめてもうちょっと痩せて
I might admit that if you lost a little weight.
そう言うなって
Don't say that. I lost a lot of weight since I was
随
younger.
分と痩せたんだぜ
That's probably why I don't recognize him. Indeed, the Daru in front of me was quite a bit slimmer than the Daru I
とい
knew.
うか父さん
Eh,
少し言葉遣い
Wait,
おか
Dad.
しくない
Why are you talking funny?
僕も久々にこういう話し方したよ
I don't usually
でも
talk like
オ
this,
カリンはこの方
but
が
I
話
figured it would
し
make
やすい
things
だろう
easier
と
for
思ってさ
Okarin. The more pressing issue, though, was his age. He was clearly a middle-aged man. The youngest I could possibly imagine him to be was his early 40s. Then I saw a shelf in the corner. I saw a man I didn't know reflected in its glass. It was another man like him, in his 40s. He was staring at me with a gloomy, sunken face. I slowly raised my right hand, and the man raised his left as if copying me.
ダル
Daru,
一つ
tell me something.
教えてくれ何でもどうぞ
Anything you want, man.
今は
What
何年だ
what year is it? Daru's smile quickly became something more serious as he answered me.
2036年世界は
It's
戦乱の
2036.
真っ只中だ
The world is at war. Daru gave me all the details.
それじゃあ
Then this really is the year 2036.
2036年なのか
Wait a minute. Didn't I die in like 2025? Isn't that how the story went? And that Suzuha never got to meet me? World lines are weird.
そういうこと
That's right. It seemed unbelievable. But Daru's appearance, and more than anything, my own, made it undeniable. 2036. Suzuha had said that World War III would start sometime in the next 10 years. 5.7 billion people would die, and the population of Tokyo would drop to a tenth of what it once was. After that, the Third World War itself would end, but the chaos would continue, and even in Japan, no, everywhere around the world, battles would continue. Was that what I'd just seen?
だが
But
どうして俺はその
why don't I remember
何
any
も
of
覚えてい
this?
ないんだ
All my memories were of 2011. I had no memories of the past 25 years. My last memory was of erasing Kurasu's memories from Kagari's head.
それに俺は
And Suzuha
2025
told
年
me
に死
that I
ぬ
would
と
die in 2025.
鈴葉から聞かされていた
Why am I alive?
それは私も聞きたい
I want to know that too, Dad.
Suzuha chimed in.
私たちはみんな
We were all told that Uncle Okarin died 10 years ago.
Suzuha leaned over him.
父さんこれは
What's
ど
going
う
on
いう
here,
こと
Dad? Did you lie to all of us?
私たちを騙してたのか
落ち着け鈴葉
Calm down,
ちゃん
Suzuha.
と説明する
I'll
から
explain. Daru looked at me as if he was remembering old times and then resumed his explanation.
オカリンは2011
Oh,
年の
Corinne,
1
you
月
say you've
半ば
only
ま
got
での
memories
記
up
憶し
to
かない
halfway through
ってことで
January
オッケー
2011, right?
あ
Yeah.
あ2011
World
年
line changed in January
1月に
2011,
世界線が
and
変
that's all
更
I
した
remember.
それ以降のことは覚えていない
I gotten 25 years older without realizing it. The fact was starting to eat away at me.
やっぱ体の方に少し問題があ
Maybe
る
there's some
のか
confusion with your
それとも
body,
混
or
乱して
maybe
い
you're
るのか
just confused.
今のオカリンの頭の中には
You should have memories up until the end
2011
of
年の
January
1月末
2011.
までの記憶がなきゃいけないんだけど
松
The end?
どうして1月末
Why the end of the month?
マホタンがオカリンの記憶を
It was the end of the month when Mahotan saved your memory data.
2011年1月末のことだからさ
Kind of figured this is what happened, but I didn't want to be the one to just outright be like, oh, so they're cloning me now as well. Fuck! Hirjo saved my memories?
アマデウスの研究の役に立ちたいから
I guess you told Mahotan to take memory samples from you to help with the Amadeus research, right? I did? I don't fucking know, dude!
俺がアマデ
I
ウス
volunteered for Amadeus? Then I realized something incredible,
ということは
which means that inside my brain,
今の
そうお察しの
Yep.
通り今の
just
オカ
like you
リンの
guessed, your
脳内
memories
に
are the
あ
ones
る
that were
記憶は
digitized in
その時の
2011.
2011年にデータ化された記憶なんだ
Digitized memories? Inside my head.
ちょっと待って父さん
Wait, Dad, I don't understand what's going on. How is Okalokrin alive
どうして
anyway?
オカリンおじさんが生きてるのおじさんは
You told me he died in 2025, right?
死んだよ
He did.
事実上はね
For all intents and purposes, anyway.
事実上
For all intents and purposes.
タイムマシン開発競争はそ
That
の
was
頃
when the
がピ
race
ー
to
クだっ
make
た
the
んだ
time machine was at its peak.
各国のいろんな機関が
Everybody in the
マキセ
world
クリスが
wanted that
残した
paper Marcus
連
A.
続
Curso had
彼
written,
女の
and
記
her
憶を
memories.
欲していたでもその時点で
But at the
マ
time,
キセクリスの
Stratfor
遺
had
産は
everything that
全
she
部
had left behind.
ストラト4の手に渡ってたんだよね
Stratfor.
ただ連中をもってしても
But even if they had it, they
論文
couldn't
の中
read
身を
it.
確かめることは
They couldn't break the
どう
lock,
して
you
もで
see.
きなかったちなみにそのロックを
By the way, I was the one who built that lock in
2010
2010.
年の僕
Of course you were, Daru. Of course you were.
そこでストラト4は
So they decided to capture someone who knew her well and get information from them.
情報を聞き出そうとしたんだ
それが
And that was me?
連中はオカリン
They
の
did
記憶
everything they
から
could think of to
マキ
try
セ
and
ク
get the
リスに
information
ついて
about
の
Marcus
情
A.
報を
Curso
取り
out
出
of
す
you.
ためにあらゆる手を使ったらしい
So, is that like the Gahana stigma ending that I witnessed? Because Stratfor had me then, and it wasn't good, and the World War had just started, but I don't know if I needed to go back and look at the freaking, what's it called? The divergence rating for Gahana stigma and see if it's correct, see if it matches this one.
僕たちが助け出した時にはオカリンの精神は
When we
ボロボロ
rescued you,
だ
your
った
mind was shattered.
まともに
You
生
lost
き
the
るため
ability to
の
ever
能力
survive
さえ
on your
失
own.
ってた回復する見込みのない
You were as good as
死んだ
dead,
の
and
と
there
ほぼ
was
変わ
no
らない
chance
状
you'd
態
get
だ
better.
ったんだ
それじゃあ
Then
肉体は生
his
きていた
body
って
was
こ
alive?
と
そういうこと
That's right.
これはオカリン
Ocarina
自身の
himself
入
had
れ知
given
恵
me
で
the
もあった
idea.
オカ
He
リン
was
は
starting to get worried
自
about
分
how
が
they were
狙われ
going
ている
after
こと
him.
に危機感を覚えてたからね
でもせめて
But you could have at
私に
least
くらい
told me,
教えて
right?
くれてもよかっ
敵を騙すには
You know
ま
what
ず
they
味
say,
方
right?
からって言うだ
To
ろ
deceive your foes, first deceive your friends.
そんな
But
Suzuha seemed to be a little depressed. It must have come as a shock that her dad didn't trust her.
そんな顔するな鈴
Don't be
葉
like that, Suzuha.
このことを知ってたのは
Only very few people in
ワルキュー
Valkyrie
レ
knew
の中
about
でも
this.
ごく限られた一部の人間だけだ
I knew the name Valkyrie. Suzuha had talked a lot about it in 2010. It was the name of Daru and Sua's resistance organization.
話を続けよう
Let's move on.
オカリンは心を破壊
Ocarina's
され
mind
た
was
そうで
shattered and he was
生き
incapable
る
of
ための
surviving.
能力を失ってい
If
た
he didn't do something, even his
放
own
っておい
body
たら
would have
肉体
died.
さえ死んでしまう状態だったそこで事実を知
So
る
a few people
一
who
部
knew
の
the
人
truth
間
had
の
been
手に
watching
よっ
over
て
him for
こ
years in
ことは
another
別の
facility.
施設でずっと面倒を見てきたんだ
And that's where I was with the headpiece on? From 2025 to 2036. 11 years without letting anyone find out. You need nutrients to keep your body alive. And since I was in a bed the whole time, my joints would have gotten stiff, and friction against the bed would have caused my skin to split open. Someone had to have watched over me the whole time to keep that from happening.
もしかして
Was it Mayuri?
マユシだけじゃない。
No, not just
エイリスさん
Mayushi.
やルカシ、
Faristan and
それ
Lukashi.
にマホタン
And
も。
Mohotan too. They were alive. Mayuri, Faris, and Lukako. Even in this terrifying world, they were alive and still looking after me. They had been for years.
なあ誰
Hey, Daru,
どうして俺は
why did I wake up
今
now?
になって目を覚ましたんだろうか
My memories have been digitized in 2011. If they'd known those memories existed, they could have downloaded them into me a lot earlier, right?
それは単純な話さ。
That's easy to explain.
オカリンの記憶
Just
データ
until a
は
little while
つい
ago,
最
we
近まで
didn't know where
ど
they
こにある
were.
かわからなかったんだよね。つうか、オカリンと
Actually,
マキとクリス
Stratfor
の
have
記
been
憶
holding
デ
on
ータ
to
は
your and
スト
Kursu's
ラト
memory
フォー
data
が
the
ずっと
entire
保管して
time.
たんだけど、その保管場所が
We
ず
just
っと
didn't know
わか
where
ら
it
なかっ
was.
たわけ。見つけたのは半
I
月
found
前。
it 2 weeks ago.
どこにあったと
Wanna
思う
guess where it was? It'll shock you.
驚くぜ。
どこだ
Where?
東大元暮らし。
Right next to us the whole
大学
time.
だよ。
It was at our
僕たちの
college.
まさか
No way.
東京電機大学
Tokyo Denki?
その地下に連中の
They
支
had
部
a
があっ
base
た
in
ん
the
だ。
basement.
つっても
Not that
今
there
は
is
ほ
much
とん
of
ど廃墟
anything
になっ
left
てる
there
けど
now.
な。
Stratfor in the basement of Tokyo Denki.
で、半月前にオカリンの
Makes
記憶
sense
デ
that
ータを
Les-
サ
'cause
ルベ
Leskanen
ージ
used
した
his
僕たちは
office there,
早
so
速
makes
脳に
sense.
データをダウン
So
ロ
2
ード
weeks
し
ago, we managed to salvage your memory data and download it into your brain. But for the next 10 days, I hadn't woken up. And just as they were about to give up, I'd finally awoken. After 25 years. 25 years. Fuck, I'm old. I stared at my hands. They were so thin I could almost see the bone. And I could see the veins popping out of them. Way to fucking call me out, Okabe, thanks. The face reflected in the glass was unhealthy and wrinkled. My hair was starting to turn white too.
起きたら25年後だったなんて
So I woke up after 25 years.
とんだ浦島太郎だ
I'm
な
just like Urashima Taro.
気持ちの整理がつかないのも
I can understand
無理な
it'll
いさ。
take you a while to process it. Of course it was a shock. But the most shocking thing was
この記憶は
these
一度
memories were once
デー
data,
タになった
huh?
ものなんだな
My memories since I was a kid. My memories of that summer. My memories with Kurisu. All of them had been transformed into zeros and ones. Could you still say that I was a person? Could I still be called human?
でもそれを言うならマキセ氏のタ
But
イ
it's
ム
the
リー
same as
プマシン技
Marcus
術
Aishi's
だって
time
同
leap
じじゃん
technology, right?
オカリンはあれ
You
何度も
went
経
through
験
that a
した
bunch of
はず
times,
でしょ
didn't you? He was right. But even if I knew in my head, it still felt strange. I'd been cut off from 25 years of time. It had all been forgotten and left behind in a digital world. It felt like I had something stolen from me.
私は
I
や
still
っぱり
can't
納
accept
得いかない
this.
そう言うなって鈴葉
Oh, don't say that, Zazua.
父さんはいい
You're
そうや
so
って
lucky, Dad. You managed to save the whole world that way.
だから
I didn't have a
仕方なかった
choice.
んだってば
Deceived, huh? I'd been deceived too. I'd been told I was fated to die in 2025. And that even in the beta world line, that wouldn't change. But no matter how it had happened, I was alive right now. Even in the past, I'd been deceived by the future. And it wasn't just me. Suzuha and everyone else. The whole world had been deceived.
世界が
The world
騙される
was deceived? And then there was a knock outside on the outside of the door. I see. I see now. This is where Okarin got the idea for the deceiving the world. Operation Scold or whatever we called it back in Steins Gate. There was a visitor, it seemed. Suzuha got close to the door.
君に萌え萌え
Moe moe for you.
バッキュンキュン
Back kyun kyun.
After hearing the world's most ridiculous password, Suzuha unlocked the door. It opened and a young girl came in.
太郎おじちゃん鈴葉お姉ちゃんトゥットゥルー
Oh god, it's too contagious. I thought the Tutaru thing was a Mayuri only. Nope. It's heretical? No, not heretical. Hereditary, that's the word I'm looking for. I mean, technically it is done by heretics, but that's by the by. Uncle Daru, Pixie Suzuha, Tutaru.
Kagari
Kagari, I told you not to come here unless you had a reason.
Kagari? This child was a young Kagari?
ごめんなさいでも
Sorry, but
ママたちみんな
Mommy
出
and
かけて
everyone
帰って
else
こな
left
い
and
ん
they
だも
haven't
ん
come back.
まあまあそう目
No,
くじ
no,
ら立て
don't
る
get
こ
so
ともない
mad.
だろ
また父さんはそうやって
You're
甘やか
spoiling
す
her again, Dad. You need to
こう
be
いうこ
strict
と
at
はき
times
ちん
like
としてお
these.
かなきゃダメなんだ
The way they interacted hadn't changed in 25 years. I ignored them and looked at Kagari. And she seemed to notice me, too.
こんにちは
Hello.
こんにちは。
Hello.
おじさんは誰
Who are you, mister?
俺か
Me? I'm...
俺はそうだな。
I'm...
君のママの
you know...
友達だ。
I'm a friend of your mother's. I hesitated for a moment, but decided not to give her my name.
マユリママの
A friend of Mommy Mayuri's?
ああ、そうだ。
Yeah, that's right.
へえ
Oh,
ママは優しいか
is your mommy nice?
ママのこと
Do you like
好
her?
きか
I love her. Aw, kids are adorable. But I still don't want any.
そうか。
I see. I could see the love she felt for her mother radiating from her face. Mayuri must have raised her with a lot of love, too. She'd been raised with everything Mayuri could give her. But after this, she was going to the past. She'd be all alone in the past, separated from her beloved Mayuri. And then they would catch her and use her as a test subject.
そういえば父さんマユ姉さんには
Hey,
伝
Dad.
えたのか
Did you tell Pixis Mayu that Uncle was up?
あいかん
Oh,
すっかり
no,
忘
I
れて
forgot.
た
I need to
早
do
く
that.
教えてやらんと
He took out what looked like a small wireless radio.
こちらバレルタイター
This is barrel
応答せよ
tighter. Come in.
Consider
This is
barrel
barrel tighter.
こちらスターダストシェイクハンドですどうぞ
We brought it back. We brought back Stardust Handshake. Hell yes. This is Stardust Handshake. Over. The voice I heard over the speaker was definitely Mayuri's. Sorry, I needed to get that out of my system the moment I saw the phrase Stardust Handshake. It felt a lot calmer than what I was used to, but it was definitely Mayuri. Wait, what was Stardust Handshake? Mommy! Oh, Kagari! You with Uncle Dora?
ところにいるの
Yep.
おじさんは大事なお仕事がある
He's
から
busy with something important, so don't bug him too much, okay?
はーい
Okay.
そんなことよりまゆし
Anyway, Mayushi, I got special news for you.
スペシャルなニュース
Special news?
ああ心して聞いてくれ
You ready for this?
オカリンが
Okarin's
目
awake.
覚めた
Really?
本当に
Okarin's really?
どうしたのマユシ
What's wrong, Mayushi?
オカリンが
Okarin. Okarin's.
もしかして岡部さん
Did
Did Okabe...
Oh, Lukako actually sounds more manly. Don't know if I want to see what future Lukako looks like. I don't want my moment of clarity to be like, never mind.
Did Okabe wake up?
Really? Okurin's awake now?
I heard one voice I knew after another coming from the radio. The voices didn't seem to have changed all that much.
そういうわけで3人とも
So I want you three to come back right now. Oh, Mayuri, don't cry.
マユシどうした
Mayushi?
マユシ
What's wrong, Mayushi?
It's no good. She's crying too much to talk.
まあ無理もないよな
Well, I can see why.
オカリンの復活を
She
一
wanted
番望
Okarin
んでた
back
の
more
は
than anyone.
マユシなんだからさ
Mayuri.
とにかくみんな早く戻った方がいい
Anyway, you should get back here as soon as possible.
Got it. We'll come back as soon as we got provisions.
Everyone else was overjoyed, but I saw that Suzua's expression was clouded.
どうした鈴葉
What's wrong, Suzuha?
なんでまゆ姉さんたち食料調達に出ている？
Why you guys are going out to get food? That wasn't planned for today.
Huh?
そんなはずない。確かに今日
Sure it was. We got a message last night that it was today.
まずい。それは罠
No,
だ。
it's
み
a
んな
trap.
すぐ
It's a
に
trap. Get everyone get back here right now.
Oh, fuck. No. A scream from the speaker cut her off.
どうした？何があった？
What's wrong? What happened?
襲撃です。
We're under attack. The enemy?
くそ。
Damn it.
マイルちゃん、リリーさん、逃げて。
Mayuri, Ferris, run. I'll hold them off.
でもそんなことしたら
But if we do that, Mule,
大丈夫ですか？
it'll be fine. Hurry. Where's Luca? Luca Nyan?
父さん。
Dad?
Right. Suzuha started running and Daru followed after. Wait, Daru! I'm going too!
でもオカリンその
But Okarin, in your condition... Let me go. Please. He hesitated for a moment, but then quickly nodded and offered me his shoulder. He was a little thinner than when he was young, but his shoulder was still gigantic. I put my weight on as we followed Suzuha. We just gonna leave Kagari there, or...? When we finally got there, I saw several silhouettes. I'd been mentally preparing myself for a fierce battle, but the whole place was dead quiet. There were several men dressed like soldiers lying on the ground nearby. In front of them was Suzuha. Kneeling next to her were two women. And at their feet... Oh no, goddammit, Luca, don't die here.
ルカ子
Lukako. I could tell at a glance. The person lying there was Lukako. The two women looked up at me.
オカリン。
Okarin.
ルカニャンが。
Luca Nyan.
ルカ
Luca Nyan is...
Mayuri and Faris both seemed beaten down by the passage of time.
Okabe?
His features had grown more gallant, but his face was still soft and feminine. Lukako looked at me with hazy eyes.
ルカ子
Lukako!
本当に
Is it
オカ
really you, Okabe?
ですか？
Yeah, Lukako.
ルカ子
It's me.
俺だ
その呼び方、
You called me Lukako.
大物の
It really is you.
A single trail of blood dripped from Lukako's mouth. His outfit was stained with blood over his right breast, and the blood tripped over onto the ground. I knew immediately that the wound was fatal.
よかった。
I'm
さっ
glad
きの話は
what I heard was
嘘じ
was true.
ゃなかったんですね。
Yeah. Thanks to you, I was able to wake up.
こうして目覚めることができた。ありがとう。
Luca's hand reached up towards the sky as if he was looking for something. Maybe he couldn't even see me anymore. When I grabbed his hand, it was very cold. Okabe.
どうした？
What is it?
I did it.
Yeah.
Thanks to the ancient Sanma school, you told me. I was able to protect Mayuri. And everyone else.
Dude, it's embarrassing when you call it that. When you say that now, please don't. Yeah. One of you guys now, right? I really am one of you now. Aren't I?
バカ。
Idiots.
お前は
You
最
always
初から
were
ずっ
one of
と
us.
俺たちの仲間だ。
Lukako reached out a cold hand and touched my cheek. And smiled a dazzling smile.
That makes me happy.
That was all he said. And then, the touch on my cheek disappeared.
ルカ子。
Lukako?
ルカ子。
Lukako!
ルカ
A cold hand fell to the rubble-covered ground. And never moved again. How could this happen?
よかったルカ君は
Lukako always
オカ
wanted
リ
to
ンと
see
ずっ
Haku.
と会いたがっていたから
Glad he got to see him
最
in
後に
the
会
end.
えたのは本当によかった
Of all the ones they killed off, it had to be my fucking favorite. Glad? She was glad? After this? Mayuri's word made me realize how hellish the last 25 years I'd slept through must have been.
漆原ルカ
Ushibara
あなた
Luka,
はとても立派に戦いました
you saved us.
私たちは
Please,
あな
rest
た
in
に
peace.
救われました
This is just... This isn't fair.
こんなの。あんまりだ。
まゆしは
Where's Mayushi?
泣き疲れて眠ったよ
She cried herself out and went back to sleep.
無理もないよな。
I can
まゆし
understand
は
that.
ルカ氏とず
She
っ
and
と
Lucas
仲
were
良か
good
ったから。
friends.
ルカ兄さん
Brother Luca.
Lukako was dead. He died protecting Mayuri and Faris. In my mind, his death overlapped with Mayuri's. Mayuri's hands got colder. And so did Lukako's. It was the same no matter where I went. Mayuri, Lukako, and Kurisu. Everyone dies.
あの戦争をきっかけに
A
たく
lot
さ
of
んの
people
人
died
間が
after
死
that
ん
war
だ。
started.
小学校の友達も中学
All
高
our
校
friends from
の友
elementary
達も
school.
大
All our
学
friends
の
from middle
友
and
達も
high school. All our friends from college.
親戚も
Our
先生も
relatives,
知
our
り合いも
teachers,
大人も子
people
供
we
も
knew,
それから
kids, adults. Even the people we loved.
たくさんの
So many
本当
people.
にたくさんの人間が
So many people
死んだんだ
died. I knew this was coming. At least I thought I knew. If I didn't reach Steins Gate, if I stayed in the Bay of the World line, the world would eventually burn. I'd heard it 1,000 times. And I thought I knew what the future would be like. But in the end, it was just a story about a distant future. It didn't feel real at all. I could only imagine it. All I had were vague, unrealistic ideas. All the thousands of nightmares I'd experienced. I thought nothing could be worse than that. But when I saw it with my own eyes, heard it with my own ears, and felt it with my own skin, I'd realized that everything I thought was wrong. Piles of bodies. Wild dogs devouring human corpses. Dead soldiers. The smell of burning flesh. The smell of rotting organs. The warmth of Lukako's blood in my hands. The warmth of Mayuri's blood. The warmth of Kurasu's blood. I thought that if nothing else, I'd managed to save Mayuri. I'd let Kurasu die, turned my eyes away from reality, and told myself that at least I'd save Mayuri and the others. But in the end, I hadn't saved anyone. Even if I had, I'd only saved myself. I was the only person I'd managed to save. No one else. Not Kurasu. Not Mayuri. Not Kagari. Not Lukako. I hadn't saved anyone.
クリスをアマデウスの呪縛から解放してやっ
Release
てくれ
Kurasu from the bonds of Amadeus. Huh?
伝言
A message
2025年の
from you
オ
in
カ
the
リン
year
から
2025.
俺の
A message from myself?
シュタインズゲート世界線への道は険しい。一度や
The
二
path
度
to Steins
や
Gate
り
is a
直した
hard
ところ
one.
でたどり着ける道ではない
Trying
だろう
again for once or twice probably won't get you there.
けれどまずはそこから始め
But I
ることが
think starting
シュ
there
タイ
is
ン
the
ズ
best
ゲ
way
ー
to
トへ
get
と
to
つ
it.
ながるんじゃないか。いくつもの未来の先が
I
過去へ
think
と
that many
つなが
futures
っ
are
ているん
connected
じ
to
ゃ
the
ないか。
past.
11年前
That's what you said
オカ
11
リンは
years
そう
ago.
言ってた。
クリスを
Release Kurasu.
だからさ僕たちがいるこの世界も無駄じゃない。
This world we're in isn't
必
wasted.
要な世界なんだ。
It's a world that we need.
今の
At
僕は
least
そう
that's
思
what I
ってる。
think.
もちろん。
Of course,
だ
that
からって
doesn't mean
こ
I'm
のままでいいって
okay
わ
with
けじゃ
things
ない
as they are.
誰
Taru.
だからさオカリン
So, Okarim,
もう一度戻って考えてみても
why
いい
not
ん
go
じゃ
back
ね
and think about it?
オカリンの
To the moment when your
記憶を途
memories
切れ
cut
た
off.
その時間にさ
2011年に
To 2011? But that's not...
でもそんなこと
I could see my aged body in the glass.
第一この姿
And
に
anyway,
戻ったところ
even if I did go back, what could I do?
俺に何ができる
できるわ。
You can do it. I heard a voice I recognized from the radio.
久しぶりね、岡部さん。
It's been a while,
11
Okabe.
年ぶりかしら。
11 years, I think.
ヒヤジョーさんか
Here's Joe?
部屋の奥を見なさい。
Look in the back of the room. As if he'd known what she was going to say, Daru had moved to the spot in the back of the room where the lights didn't reach. Suddenly it got brighter, and I saw
電話レンチかっこかり
the phone wave.
あなたや橋田さんから話を聞いて私が
I made this after hearing about it from you and Hashida. See, it's got a VR headset too.
用意してあるでしょ。
こんなこともあろうかと
I've got the lifter ready too. I thought this might happen. Daru went on to explain that for the last 11 years, he maintained an environment where I could receive the time leap, even in a coma. That made sense. Even if I was in a coma, as long as they put the receiver up to my head, it would still function. My ear and the others have taken care of my body since 2025. So Daru and Maho had known this day would come 11 years ago? Or maybe I just told them so back in 2025.
Our improvements mean that it's now possible to go back in time 336 hours.
336 hours. 2 weeks?
That will only get you part of the way back. We made the modifications to the time machine about 10 years ago, so beyond that you'll only be able to go back 48 hours at a time.
In other words, if I want to go back to the end of January 2011, I need about 3,000 time leaps.
It's going to be a long and painful journey. But if you're still up for it...
Almost 3,000 time leaps. Was I really capable of something like that anymore?
しんどくなったら途中で休めばいい。
If you get tired, you can rest part way. Daru.
Don't worry. No matter what year it is, we'll always be with you.
Hyojo.
You know, I've got a lot of regrets. Thanks to Amadeus, even after her death, a lot of people tried to use her for evil. For years. For decades. So I want to help too. Release her. Release Kurisu from that ugly spiral of greed. Save Kurisu. You're the only one who can.
I didn't know if I could do it anymore. There was no guarantee that the path I was about to travel would even lead to Steins Gate. But even so... Maybe I should think it over again. What could I do? What should I do? Alright guys, I'm in.
Okie dokie.
Okie dokie! As soon as the words were out of his mouth, he started getting ready.
Okabe,
Hmm?
if you ever see Kurisu, tell her that in the future I beat her time leap record 7 times over.
Got it. If I ever saw Kurisu...
オカリン、こっちの準備は
Okarin, I'm all set.
早いな。
That was fast.
メンテは怠ってないから
I've
ね。
always kept it maintained.
さすがだな。
I figured you would.
まあな。
I bet. The phone wave and the VR headset. They looked a little different from what I'd seen in the old lab. They were still our future gadgets.
でも
Oh, but
マユ姉さん
are you sure you don't want to talk to Big Sis Mayu and the others?
今飛ばないと。
If I go now, I think my resolve is going to weaken.
それに。
And even if I don't see them now, they'll be able to see
い
me.
くらだって会えるさ。
Even if I don't see them now, I'll be able to see them whenever I want in the past.
そうだな。
That's right. Daru smiled as I took the VR headset out of his hand and put it on my head.
それじゃあ。
Alright, see you in 2 weeks.
ああ、
Yeah,
2週間前
see you
で
in 2 weeks.
Hang in there.
And then, I jumped back into the past once more. It took a long, long time. The journey was unimaginably long.